I'll go through and mute everybody. All right.
Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to our team kitchen table talk. So tonight is our third, or the end of our series that we've been doing about getting your team to be all in. And it's been a really cool series, and I hope you guys have gotten a lot out of it so far. We started off by the first week talking about coaching and about how, oh, thanks, Michelle, and about how, like, coaching, different things that you can do on how you can treat your team and how you can coach them and be a better coach to create more of a commitment level from them. And then the second week we talked about communication. And real quick about the coaching thing, I don't know if you guys remember, but I gave this one specific activity that you can do with a small group, like whether it's your downline or whether it's like your challenge group or whatever, about how if you ask the question of, if you really know me, then you would know this about me. And I actually did that in my personally sponsored coach page yesterday. So some of my personally sponsored coaches are all nodding their head because they were part of my little experiment. But it was really cool because, like, some of the coaches that maybe already know each other just from being at events together and stuff like that, connected, but then also some of our newer coaches also spoke up, and it's an easy thing to answer, because we just talked about, like I said, if you really knew me, then you would know that I'm a total cookie monster and that, like, I just can't help myself. And so it was just something easy to share about yourself without having to, like, dig deep into your story or share, like, some kind of coaching technique or something. It was just something cool to get to know each other better. So if you want to go back to that first week talking about coaching, there was just some really great examples to kind of build some community. And then this week is our final leg of the series, and we're going to be talking about caring. It's our third C, so coaching, communication, caring.
And all these are available on our YouTube channel. So if you missed any of the first two in the series, just go to Jen's YouTube channel and you will find them. I was looking around for the cookies, so I'm sorry I got distracted for a minute. I know they're here.
Okay, so caring. Now that sounds like something so, like, caring. Obviously you have to care about people, but it's one of those things that's easily overlooked, and also one of those things where sometimes you think you're doing things but you're not. And this is super relevant not only to coaching but just to relationships in general, that, like, friendships, business relationships, spouse relationships. It really applies in all things. And just like the busyness, stop it.
Oh, Phyllis just commented.
Like, the busyness of life can sometimes lead you off track of, like, putting in those little, like, coins into, like, the carrying bank accounts, I guess. So some of the things that you can do to make sure that you are really exercising this caring muscle is things like recognition, appreciation, thanking people, and just being genuinely sincere.
Right. One of the things that you got to remember in this kind of business, we've been talking this a lot lately. This is
get my water.
What?
I'm getting the water.
Okay, bye. I'm in charge of the boat. Okay, so one of the things that, as long as I don't hit a buoy, I'll be fine, right? Anyways, one of the things that's great about this business is that it attracts, or one of the things that's different about this kind of a business is it attracts people that really want that caring aspect. So it's actually really important part of the business. It's people aren't just signing up for the workout program or the Shakeology. They're all great products, but they can get those in so many different ways. Amazon, eBay, just so many different locations that you can get the products. What they're signing up for is you as their coach, because if they buy the product, they will become another sad story of it just sitting on their shelf somewhere, right? They don't actually do it. They buy it. They have great intentions for about a week, and then they get the first soreness. So us as the coaches, we're what propel out of the normal, like, okay, I bought this now. Wow, my coach is running my challenge group. Now I know I'm going to finish this program because this coach is not going away. So caring, that's one of the reasons why caring is so important in the business. So even if you're a person that has a big downline or not a downline or no or whatever, as long as that's the aspect that you're bringing that makes Beachbody you. So I wanted to make sure that we got brought that up.
So when I was just like doing a little bit of research for this call, one of the things that came up is that the number one reason that people leave their jobs is because they feel underappreciated. So I know, like, personally for me, at my last job, I worked as a paralegal, and I worked at the same law firm for 5 years, and I felt super unappreciated. I felt like, like they didn't really care if I overproduced or underproduced. Like if I went above and beyond, they didn't care. If I just did my normal job, they didn't care. Like, well, they cared if I didn't do my job. And they definitely cared when they started to realize I was doing Beachbody at my desk. But like the fact that I was underappreciated made me not want to do a good job. And they said that, like, that's the number one reason why people end up leaving their job, because they just don't feel like they're being appreciated. If you go on my wall, I actually made a post today that said, do you feel appreciated at your job? And what are some things that your employer does to make you feel valued? And some people wrote nothing, that they don't do anything to make them feel appreciated. And some people said, like, they called to check on me. Like this one person said that she had to go to the emergency room this week or last week, and that her boss actually called her a couple times already just to, like, check on her, see how she's doing, let her know that people at work are thinking about her, and not to say, like, hey, when are you going to be back at work? You know, your work's piling up, time to get back. Like, it was just to check on her and genuinely let them know that they miss her. So, like, it's just one of those things of, like, making sure that that people know that you care and that you're thinking about them. And then it says the number one reason that people will sometimes stay in a job relationship is because of the relationship they have with the manager or the boss.
Healthy relationship, though, with the manager or the boss.
Mm-hmm. So, and I can think of a lot of reasons why I have stayed involved in some things. Like, maybe it's not necessarily that I liked a particular club, but maybe because I liked the person, like, do you have an example of that?
Of why you stayed somewhere?
No, you.
Oh, me? I don't ever leave anything. I have to move just to get away from the gym.
Your job?
What?
Like, work for somebody at KPD or something where you, like, your relationship with your lieutenant or something?
Yeah, no, it's actually interesting that you brought that up. One of the coaches, he's still a coach or guy, remember we had old memory come through with B Squad. Mm-hmm. And, I just remembered it came through and they tagged all the old members. And I said, man, if we still had that squad, I would still be there because we all just worked so well together. And the time went by so fast and we were together. But then once I moved to a different squad, the time, like, tripled. It was like, same day, but like 3 times longer, and it became unenjoyable and I became unproductive. Even it was a little bit enjoyable, but I became unproductive. Yeah. So is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's see. All right. So another way that people can feel appreciated, whether it's people in your downline or people in your challenge groups, is just taking that extra time to invest in people. So I think that Beachbody Corporate does a really excellent job in that. Like Success Club, every month they send us, like, some kind of either swag or an opportunity to be on, like, a personal development call with, like, John Maxwell and Darren Hardy and things like that. I know Mike and I have personally been to a lot of Beachbody events, like for elite coaches and things like that, where they, like, really go above and beyond to give you these special little things, like jackets with your names on it. And
the thing that's really cool about, it's really cool about those, they don't go all out of their way to show, like, on Facebook and social media. We do. I mean, the coaches there do, but they don't actually do it to, like,
pat themselves on the back.
No, I mean, so it's really amazing. I mean, like, all the trainers are there, and they obviously they're Beachbody paid for them to be there, and they're walking around and they're just there all day with you on these events. So that's a huge investment, I think.
there's another event called the New Leader Conference, and Nina Pears actually went to it last year. And so I had asked her previously if she would mind hopping on and just kind of sharing a little bit how the fact that Beachbody takes that extra time to like invest, like how that made her feel.
I'm going to unmute. Oh, I'm sorry. You had already done it.
Okay. I was ahead of you on that one.
No, I'm sorry. I won't touch it.
So yeah, last year I went to the New Leadership Conference, and it was a game changer in so many different ways. So prior to going to that conference, I had been to the summits and I had been on a Success Club trip. And New Leadership Conference was like very intimate. I want to say there were maybe like 150 coaches there, and they give you a tour of corporate. So they take you in a really small group and they take you behind the scenes, and everybody that works for corporate is there. There were celebrity trainers there, and they all stop and give you like attention. If you want to take a picture with them, they stop everything they're doing and they allow you to take a picture with them. And I know it's a very different feel than at Summit when there's just thousands and thousands of people. Shakeology was free for us there. Joel and Jericho were there and did a workout with us. And they also did like free photo shoots with us. So they were just kind of standing there and they had the backdrop and you would just walk up and take a picture. I think the biggest, they gave us a ton of free stuff. As soon as we checked in, we got a bag of every Beachbody product you could imagine. But the really nice thing was that it was the first time that I really got to know corporate. So there was an opening ceremony and it was an open bar, and everybody from corporate was there, and they made a point to walk up to every single coach that was there and engaged in a conversation. They got to know you. And then the rest of the weekend, they remembered who you were. So if they saw you in an elevator, they saw you at a workshop, they would come up to you, they would talk to you. And to me, that was like a big game changer. Oh, because for the first time, I was like, oh, I didn't feel like I was just this small fish in a huge ocean. Like I felt like it was kind of like, okay, I'm working my way up and I'm deserving of this recognition now. And then another great thing too was we ate all of our meals together. Everything was provided for you. And corporate would sit there and sit at the table with you and engage in conversations, and just top coaches were there. Like everybody that presented, I finally felt like I was kind of like an equal to them, and I wasn't like, they didn't have that celebrity status anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. So would you say that like because of how they invested in you that weekend, like that upped your level of commitment to wanting to like build your business and like be all in?
Absolutely. I remember just being there. I mean, that recognition was huge, and it made me feel really good, but it also was a big changing point in my business too, because I don't know, I felt like I was doing the right thing and I was growing, and I just wanted to be better, if that makes sense. Like being there, it was kind of like the first stepping block. It's like, all right, I'm here. Now I just want to make sure I continue to grow and I continue to get better. So since then, I haven't really looked back, and I've been 100% like all in, 10xing all of my actions.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that we've had a couple of people. I know we have a few more that are going this year. I think, and I know we're getting ready to go to Vegas for the leadership conference. I think when I was talking to Jenna, I think she's going too. We're planning on it. Last time I spoke to her. So those are all different things that they do. And like you said, they pay for most of it, if not all of it, depending on what you get. But they're obtainable goals. And like I told you before, the best thing I like about them is they don't showcase it like a lot of other MLMs. It's not this icky feeling like, where tambourines are in the background and they're like, throwing money away with this guy with a money suit. You know what I mean? It's really, it's classy, and you actually just want your friends to be there. You want your friends, the coaches, to be there with you, so that's a big thing. Yeah. Phyllis, you'll get there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about now is just kind of like ideas. So who are the people that in your life that you need to let know that you care? these are the ones I wrote down. You may have more to add to your list, but top on my list, I wrote down like the family that you have that's supporting you in your Beachbody business. Like some of us have a spouse that's like right next to your side, being on these calls and stuff. Hello. But others, like, you may have a spouse that's not really as actively working the business. Maybe they're, like Phyllis, she's got Ron that's helping her like in the background, taking care of the kids, taking care of Chandler, that's doing things more in the background to help her have the time that she needs to put into her business. I know Robin and Nick are that way too. Like Nick's not actively working the business, but he's helping her like, be organized and not lose her mind and stuff like that. So make sure that you are letting the people in your life that are helping you with your goals, make sure that you're letting them know that you care and finding ways that you can give them the appreciation and, gratitude for that. Downline coaches. One of the ways that I do recognition for downline, you guys probably see it in the team page, is doing leaderboards where, and I can speak to this as being someone that's on leaderboards sometimes, like from my upline coach, as well as the ones that I do for my downline. And I like the ones that like have the little pictures, like with the head, like where you can actually see the person. And like when I'm on a leaderboard where it's just like a list, it's just like, okay, yeah, my name is there, that's cool. But like when I see my picture on it, like I know that there was like an extra step, like there was extra thought and time in creating that post. So like, those are things that make me feel special. So I do them, in hopes that my downline feels special too. So I do those kind of recognition posts like for Volume or Success Club, those kinds of things. I also do recognition that is specific to my personally sponsored coaches. And that's not always business activity related. That's like, I made a post a couple days ago for Andrea because she has been very consistent in sending me like her weekly business activity tracker. She's using the Win the Week checklist, and she's been like sending it every week. And so I made a post like giving, hey, Andrea gets a shout out this week. She's been on track, on point with doing this every week.
And she's on the call.
She's on the call.
Probably listening to the wake up call. I mean, there's just, she's doing those behaviors.
Yeah. And, sometimes when somebody from the team finishes a program, I'll give them a shout out and say like, hey, Christy finished Country Heat. Look at her results. She's amazing. Like she got these great results. So those are just like some ways that you can find, to give your team recognition and let them know that you see them, you notice what they're doing, and that you are proud of them. Another thing is your upline. And I'm not like trying to tell my coaches to give me a pat on the back or anything, but it is something that I like. It's important to me to make sure that I'm giving Scotty like I want him to know that I'm grateful that he has helped me, that he has paved the way, that he invited me at all to be a coach. Like where would I be if he had never taken the time to ask me if I wanted to be a part of this or to give me the mentorship that he has? So
we would actually be watching Survivor right now. Just saying.
Probably. Is that?
Yeah, I think there's another one on. Yeah, that's what we used to watch before Beachbody was Survivor.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is giving recognition to your challengers. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that, with either just showing results as well as just like non-scale victories and things like that. And I had asked Sarah to share a couple of things on things that she does to just kind of give her challengers a little bit of a spotlight.
Well, for me, I mean, like you can do the posts of like, oh, I mean, I like those posts, don't get me wrong, and put it on my wall or on their wall. But what I really try to do is just really recognize that I didn't just take their money and then left them hanging. So one thing that I really make a point is to be in communication, and it depends on the person, but anytime between every 4 days or once a week, and seeing how they are. And it doesn't necessarily have to be health related or fitness related. It's just asking how their day's going, what's going on in their life, really recognizing their life, not just I'm in, I'm out, let's move on kind of thing. So, you know, and over time, even if it's not my challengers and it's people who've told me like no, like 500 times, going and asking them how their week is. And those I don't talk to as often, but, you know, checking in once every 2 weeks or so and asking people how they are, recognizing that they're a real person and not a number means the world to a lot of people. And I have very few people that once they become a part of my family, leave the family. You know, like I haven't had anyone that I know of switch coaches on me or, you know, like if they choose to leave, it's usually on their end and not because of something that I've said or neglect or something like that. So just really recognizing people for people and not a number and not a challenge pack and that kind of thing. Beyond doing, you know, like, hey, let's do a weekly prize, or I do a shout out in my team page once a week. You know, if someone has mentioned something, I'll mention something there as well. But just really that one-on-one connection recognition means, I think, a lot more to people, especially, you know, like I talk to a lot of moms. We're kind of can be lonely when we live in hermit world. So that's kind of where I go with it.
Oh, I'm unmuted already. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. I think that's important too. And I think that it's a great segue to kind of help people that are challengers mold into coaching too. Because, you know, just getting that feeling that they matter and that they're a part of something, you know, goes a long way. So I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to share.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like we had talked about earlier, and we've been talking a lot about it. It's just making sure that you're just understanding what people are signing up for, what people are wanting, what people are needing, you know, what they want or need out of you. And sometimes it's good to when you're doing your Get Started Right call, it's also a good idea. And we've talked about this. I know that I talked about this with Phyllis when we did our call last week after this call. Getting to know what they want when you actually get on that call, and actually just making sure. A lot of times we ask, but we don't actually write it down. You know, especially like what do you want us to do when you fail? If you fail, if you get off track, if you stop, you know, what kind of person are you? Like, you have to talk to me a lot different than you have to talk to Jennifer. You know, and in a way for us to respond. You know, we respond differently, so we hear differently. So one of the things that you can do as a leader, obviously you're on this call, so you are in fact a leader, is learning how, and there's so many different ways to do it. Either there's the GEM theory, or then there's the DISC theory, and all these different things that would really make it so you can determine what kind of personality type you're speaking with. Because if you're just talking to everyone how you talk, or how you want to be spoken to, you may not reach people. Like a lot of times Jennifer changes the way she speaks to me, so I'm receptive. And that's just different personality types. When an introvert speaking to an extrovert, you know, you kind of got to do it differently. You know, now she just keeps a frying pan in her hand, you know, so I know to listen, you know. So anyways, yeah. Cool.
So really my last point that I want to make about caring though is, just because you care in your heart doesn't mean that it's showing. Like, caring is something that takes very intentional action. And like Mike and I run a lot of like marriage type groups that help just little marriage challenges and stuff. And one of the things that I've heard a lot of people say is, gosh, I used to do this, but somewhere along the way I stopped. And I think that applies to a lot of stuff in coaching as well. Like there's maybe you used to send little thank you cards, like actual snail mail ones to people when they would sign up. Or like maybe you would send a welcome email and you got out of the habit of that. Or maybe you would like send a PD book to people when they would hit a certain goal. And then, you know, so some of those things, they're just very intentional, and you just have to be honest with yourself to really, like give yourself an analysis of, are you actually showing people that you care, and that, you know, it doesn't mean that you don't care if you're not doing it, but you just have to make sure that you are actually, you know, taking some kind of action towards that. So that's what I got.
That's it. That's what I have too. Real quick, we got 2 seconds for a plug for, don't forget, if you haven't already signed up for Winter Summit, make sure that you do it. December 1st or something like that. This is our 5th annual Winter Summit here in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So we still have spots available for that. That is going to be 3 days of awesomeness. How many people have been to the Winter Summit before? Right? Yep. See that? I love it. All right. So we're back in good old Tennessee again. Vegas was fun but hot. But we're happy to be back. So guys, thank you very much. Go forth, win your week. Remember, like Jen said, we do have a couple days left for Team Cup. Remember, get your Success Club. It's just 3 people. Get your Success Club locked in and go for your goals.
All right. Thanks for hopping on tonight. Have a great week.
All right. Good night. Bye. Did you send that message or no?
I did not.
Okay.